I understand, like, you wanted it 2.5 hours, but if you're handed two versions of a movie, and one's a masterpiece called the greatest movie of the decade, and one is this movie that we saw, like, okay, I guess we'll release the shitty one. Like, what are they thinking?
Welcome to What Are You, 12? I'm Emily, and we're excited to have you join us for our season of 2011 movies. It should be fun. Before I introduce my co-hosts, please rate us, subscribe, share us with friends. We would love to have some more support, but we do love you already, even if you're a first-time listener. And now for my co-hosts, we have Ben.
Hello, everybody.
And we have Brandon.
Hey, what's up? What's going on?
And we have no one else. That's it. It's just the three of us. It should be a good time. That's all we need.
Oh, and Margaret's here with us too.
Oh, thank you. Margaret is here too.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of dumb high school shit that happens in this movie. So I do have to ask, what kind of dumb shit did you do in high school?
I was in a bowling league.
Did you have bowling shirts?
We did not have shirts. We had shoes. We all had our own shoes. And
you were in a bowling league and you didn't have matching shirts.
It was me and two other guys from high school. We were playing against like 40-year-old men. We didn't want to do shirts. Like, we were in like an adult bowling league as 17, 18-year-old kids.
That actually sounds like fun.
We had a lot of fun because part of the league membership was you got to have unlimited bowling for the entire week. So we would literally go bowling every day. We weren't any good. We were shit, but we had a good time. But I have a lot of memories at that bowling alley. That's where I ate the cigarette butt.
Oh my God. That's the other dumb shit that you did too?
Yeah. And the amount of pranks that my buddies and I pulled on each other, like, I swear to God, my car was so full of piss by the time I got rid of it because they thought it was so funny to pee on my car seat.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Or pee on my door handle.
Did you do the same to them?
I did other stuff. I like to hide things in their car that they wouldn't expect to find, like street signs. I still do it now to Wesley, where I'll hide random DVDs around his house. Like, there's a copy of Heartbreak Kid awaiting him when he gets back from Cincinnati that he doesn't know about yet.
And he's not going to listen to this episode, so he's never going to find out about it. Brandon, what dumb shit did you do?
I didn't like high school, so I didn't do anything in high school. Just that's what it was. I just didn't do anything. I wasn't that kid. I was very, very boring in high school. I played basketball after school, and that was it. Didn't do anything stupid.
Wow.
I know it's boring. I know. I'm a very boring square person. I'm super square.
You didn't even act up in class? Like, there was nothing?
No, I wasn't that type of kid. I just didn't. Anybody tell you I wasn't that type of kid that act up. I was like, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am.
I mean, I was too. I 100% was too, but I did some dumb shit. Like, for example, because I'm from Duluth, as like you all know, we would jump into Lake Superior. But not only would we jump into Lake Superior, we would swim out in freezing cold temperatures in like March or April, there's ice still on the lake. There is a building that is semi-collapsed off the lake walk, and we would swim out to it, climb up it without like any ladders or anything. We would just like scale this like old stone building that was in the middle of off the shore, and we would jump into the lake off of this really tall 1 to 2 story building. And the amount of times that we could have fallen, hit our heads, slipped, landed funny, hit rocks at the bottom. Like, I don't know how none of us died. To be fair, I only did that one time, but there were other boulders and islands that I would jump off of that were quote unquote safer. I don't know. We were dumb, super dumb.
I realize I did just so many times more stupider shit than you guys have.
Well, absolutely. But like, come on.
It's just shocking to me. Like, I thought that stupid shit was just a common experience for all high schoolers.
No, I didn't do a lot of stupid stuff, man. I did not like high school at all. So I was like, once I was done, I went home. I hated high school.
Now, Brandon, when you were in high school, had Jackass come out yet?
No. Jackass came out, gosh, well after. I think I was in college when Jackass came out.
That could also be why too. Like an entire generation of high schoolers were just turned stupid by that goddamn show. So that could be it also.
I think that's your excuse, Ben.
All my friends were trying to go to the league, so that's all it was about. That was like, yo, we should be trying to go to play D1 and play ball forever. That's all my friends wanted to do.
Ben, you watched something recently, didn't you?
I did. Have you all seen Puss in Boots: The Last Wish?
No.
Yes.
You have. Yes, Brandon. Yes.
So good.
It is so good.
It's good.
That movie could have coasted just on name alone, and instead those animators went so fucking hard, and that movie is stunning to watch. Like it's probably the most beautiful DreamWorks movie there is, other than maybe Prince of Egypt. Like it is gorgeous.
It's really good. It's so good that that was our Christmas movie. So
yes.
we do a Christmas movie every year. So and this is the first year Titan got a chance to go with us with the Christmas movie. He was into it for probably the first hour because it was a longer movie than I thought it was going to be. He was in it for about the first hour, and then after that, he was like, "I need somebody's phone." So that was kind of it after that. But I loved it, especially the wolf. The wolf stole the whole film for me.
I mean, I'm a huge Mulaney fan, so little Jack Horner or big Jack Horner in this movie. I love that character. Like all of them, all the characters are really funny
everything.
and interesting. I'm spoiling nothing.
No, he's really not. He's really not. It's really good.
But man, 2022 was a great year for animation. Like between that one, Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, like 3 movies that any other year could win Best Animated Feature. All 3 came out this year. Just amazing.
So apparently I have to watch Puss in Boots.
Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I promise.
Puss in Boots that's a must. You have to watch Puss in Boots. It's good.
Watch it. I will watch it. Okay. I'm very excited to watch it. Anyway, this week we watched Margaret, which is not an animated feature. It's currently at 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's also considered one of the best films of its decade, according to a lot of critics' top lists. It's insane how many critics love this movie.
According to the statement, the light was green when the bus passed through the intersection?
Yes.
So you're saying she walked against the light?
I know you feel a sense of responsibility about what happened, but you can't not do your homework, and you can't throw away your scholarship because of it. That bus driver probably has a family to support.
Do you remember me from the bus accident?
It's a tragedy. You cannot bring her back.
I'm talking about telling the accident investigators what really happened.
But you already talked to them.
I know that, but I lied.
You're gonna go home, you're gonna do your homework, and I'm gonna lose my job. And who's gonna take care of my family? You?
This movie was written by Kenneth Lonergan, who's also known for co-writing Gangs of New York, and writing and directing You Can Count on Me. Both I've never seen before, but both were nominated for Best Original Screenplay for the Oscars. So it's kind of a big deal, I guess.
I did not know Lonergan wrote Gangs of New York.
He co-wrote it, yeah.
Co-wrote it with Scorsese? Or no?
I'm assuming so.
Because Scorsese directed that, which is interesting given the history we're going to find out about this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some pretty big names that we're starting with Anna Paquin, which everyone knows from True Blood, Suki. But she started her career as a child actor, earning an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress in The Piano at age 11, which I think she's the second youngest now of an Oscar holder, essentially. But she's also pretty well known for playing Rogue in the original X-Men movies. And as I mentioned, True Blood, which I think Brandon is a fan of.
Suki.
We also have Mark Ruffalo in this, Hulk. Although he wasn't Hulk at this time, I don't think. He starred in Lonergan's You Can Count on Me before appearing in The Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Wesley's favorite movie, Just Like Heaven, and 2007's Zodiac. Last season in 2010, we saw him in Shutter Island and The Kids Are All Right. Matt Damon is also in this movie, and very surprising. to be there. We're not sure why he was there. Although not surprising since he's a personal friend of the director. Prior to this, he's known for roles in Titan AE, Spirit, a sequel, I'm assuming, and Euro Trip, because Scotty doesn't know. He also appeared last season in True Grit.
Just like the rest of us, Emily had not seen this movie. So, Emily, what did you think Margaret was about?
I just gotta throw out there, I've never seen True Blood, and I was very surprised that Anna Paquin was in True Blood. Just gonna point that out, which makes my summary even funnier. Margaret is a vampire coming-of-age story. She struggles to get along with all the other vampires and prefers to hang out with regular humans like they're her pets.
Well, I mean, it's pretty close, because she did suck in this movie.
Man.
That's a double entendre, too.
Brandon, please tell us, what was this movie actually about?
So, New York high school student Lisa Cohen inadvertently causes an accident in which the bus driver runs over a pedestrian. Guilt-stricken over her role in the woman's death, Lisa's mood swings from normal to furious, with her angry outbursts mostly directed at her mother. Lisa reaches out to the dead woman's best friend and bus driver, but her failed efforts to make amends only lead to more hostility.
Bum, bum, bum.
Brandon, right away, I want to hear. Give me your thoughts on this movie. First, this. Did you watch the director's cut or the theatrical cut?
I think I watched the theatrical cut.
2 hours and 30 minutes?
Yeah, and the only thing that I when we were talking about it before, I remember you saying that there's two versions. So I watched the first one, and I knew what he was trying to do. So this is one of those films that, like, the first act and a half, I'm like, okay, I see where you're going, but then the back end of it, it kind of felt like it was just like really just like a lot of cuts. It was just cut together differently. Mm-hmm. So I was like, all right, I know what he's trying to do, and I'm kind of at that point where I don't know if I like it or if I don't like it, because I'm still thinking about it. Yeah, and then when I heard that it took them 6 years to edit this to get it right, mm-hmm. and then that there's this guy on YouTube. He actually, I don't know how I got there. I was half asleep.
Oh,
I think we all got there.
This guy edits?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then he was saying certain, and then like stuff that he was saying and stuff I was thinking while I was watching the film. So that's why I was like, all right, I kind of want to see the whole thing, because like watching it now, it feels like Justice League before the Snyder Cut. That's what it feels like to me. So like the Snyder Cut, there's a lot of extra stuff in there, but the storyline makes better sense versus when you just basically say, okay, I'm going to take all these other ingredients out, and then here's your meal. And that's what we ended up getting in like the theaters. So that's what this feels like.
Ben, what did you think of this movie?
I fucking hated it. And not just the second half, but pretty much from jump. I was just annoyed by this movie. I did not like it. I obviously knew in the back of my head that people thought this movie was the greatest of the decade, not just of the year. I've never felt such a great disconnect between myself and what critics think, because I see nothing salvageable in this movie to make me want to even venture and watch the 3-hour version. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. We'll talk more about my critiques later. But Emily, what did you think?
I was so lost in this movie, and I know that like initially I was screaming at my TV at multiple instances where the characters would do something. On reflection, I'm similar to Brandon, where I can see kind of where the director was going and where the script was going and how they were trying to do something with characters in a way that's like, teenagers are super dumb and they have high emotions, but it just seemed so not far-fetched, but like, I work with teenagers. We all work with teenagers on a very regular basis, and I know they are fucking stupid. But the way that Lisa, first off, okay, can we back up? Her name is Lisa. Why the fuck That just threw me off. Why the fuck is her name Lisa? And this movie is called Margaret. I get it. They give it to you like 2 hours in, but fucking A, I hate that. But I was literally screaming at the TV at points because I was sitting there trying to comprehend if my high schoolers would do shit like this, which, yes, maybe some of them, it would maybe be, again, it would probably be my white students, but like, oh my God, like it was just so fucking far-fetched where I couldn't even fucking handle it. Not only did that bother me with just like the characters and the teenager drama, but also the time period was really throwing me off because it took me a long time to realize that this movie coming out in 2011 was actually filmed in like 2003 or 4 or 5.
Yes.
I don't know. So really disjointed there. My brain was all over the place while watching this movie.
Yeah, Emily, you mentioned your students, and that's something that I come back to with this movie is that I spend a lot of time around kids this age. And it feels like this movie was written by someone who hasn't met a teenager in 20 years.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
If they had actually like been around a teenager or knew a teenager, then maybe. But it's such a broad caricature of angst that I just couldn't get behind it at all. And I know Anna Paquin's performance, and again, we'll talk about this in the critique, but her character was just so insufferable. And especially the scenes where she's in the class talking about 9/11 and they're shouting over each other. Like, that's not fun to watch. I'm not getting anything from two 17-year-olds shouting about 9/11 at each other. Like, that just is annoying to me as a teacher. Because first of all, maintain your fucking classroom, guy. There's 2 teachers for 12 kids and you can't maintain a fucking discussion without losing control. Like,
Brandon,
come on.
You know what we're talking about.
I went to the same spot. I'm like, there's 2 of these motherfuckers in here. Why are you letting this shit ride? I don't know why. That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Like, we've all co-taught before. We've all like worked in buildings that we're like, what the fuck is actually happening? We understand this is a fucking private school, but like, get your fucking shit together.
Yep. Emily, you mentioned that this movie was supposed to come out in 2005.
Yeah.
It was filmed in 2003 or 4. For a long time, this movie was thought to be unreleasable because Fox Searchlight, when they signed Lonergan on to make this movie, they gave him final cut rights, which is his ability to make and edit the movie however he wanted to. But they told him it had to be 150 minutes. And Lonergan, his cut originally was the 3-hour and 6-minute version that now exists as the extended cut. Things got so contentious in this and so many lawsuits were filed that they actually brought in Martin Scorsese to try to edit this film down to the 150 minutes they needed to release it.
Fucking crazy.
And I guess here's my question. If you're Fox Searchlight and the director comes to you with, what is this 2.5-hour cut movie, which I'll just throw out there my opinions, it's a fucking hack job. And I don't know if Lonergan did it just because he's like, fuck you guys, here's my cut. But there's so many like rudimentary editing errors in it that it's almost nonsensical at points.
It's choppy, confusing.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
And then you also are handed this 3-hour and 6-minute cut. Like, I understand, like, you wanted it 2.5 hours, but if you're handed 2 versions of a movie and one's a masterpiece called the greatest movie of the decade, and one is this movie that we saw, like, how do you not just be like, okay, yep, I guess we'll release the shitty one. Like, what are they thinking?
Well, I mean, it's basically getting, it's basically for the theaters. You guys kind of know how this works now. It's like, if it's going to be hard to have people sit in there for 3 hours, and then you had, how many times can you show that film for 3 hours in that particular day? And then it's like, how much money can you actually make off of it? If you can make something around 2 hours, you can cram a ton of times to actually have that film seen in whatever theater. So I know it's like a part of the money thing, but I think they were looking at the money and sacrificing the art of it. I think in this particular film, I don't think you could do that, because there's so much literally the whole third act. I'm sitting here, I'm like, so they're in, like, are they fucking in Belize now? What's going on? Like, everything's like the cuts were just all over the place.
I can understand that argument, Brandon. And in hindsight, it's easy for me to say what a massive fuck up that was when this movie made like 114,000 at the box office.
With a budget of like 14 million.
And showed in like 11 theaters. If that's all the money you're going to end up making, why would you not just release the 3-hour and 6-minute version and hope that it catches on with critics? Which it did eventually. Like, this movie's almost being like, the opinion on it's being rewritten, it seems, every year, and it becomes more and more of a masterpiece in people's eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, is it because as I was watching this, I was wondering, like you said, is more and more people starting to like it the longer it's kind of been out? Is it because we're dealing with trauma differently in society, and we're looking at like how people deal with trauma? Because that's how I was looking at it when I was watching. I was watching it as though like it's now. So that's why I said like the first part of the film, I kind of get it. Like she's seen something. She's dealing with trauma. She has nobody to go to. And this is kind of what's starting to happen. So she's acting out through that particular trip.
Right. She's doing dumb teenage shit. Right.
Right. And then it's kind of just going way over the top because she can't talk to her mom. Her dad is probably the softest dude I've ever seen in my entire fucking life.
Her dad did not need to be in this movie. Sorry. Continue.
No,
that's the director,
he
apparently.
Yeah, that's the only reason he wasn't cut from this movie is it's the director and he didn't want to cut himself.
Or if I wouldn't even have minded if he cut himself down, because some conversations it didn't seem like he even needed to have. Then it's
Let's
just
talk
like
about horse riding for the 10th time.
That was terrible.
Have you been practicing?
That was bad.
Can I try to ride this bike? Because I'm going to learn to ride a horse, and I think they're going to be comparable skills.
Yeah, certain parts. It's like, why don't you just get rid of like it? A lot of stuff just didn't move the movie forward. I really don't know why Matt Damon was even in the fucking film. To be honest, you could have cut him out completely. Him and Matthew Broderick could have been completely cut out of this.
I know,
film.
right?
And it probably would have been better, to be honest.
But they're the names. They're what you use to sell the movie. Like, you almost need them in there. Although Matthew Broderick, given his history, should have been the bus driver.
Oh.
Good. That was a good groaner joke. I'm glad I got Brandon.
Okay. I think that we should talk to Brandon on the shots. Shots.
All right, there's actually 3 I like. They had to write them down. I like the cab scene. They were only in the cab. Her and her mom were only in the cab for maybe like 5 seconds, and it's like it's kind of a forgettable scene. But I like how it was kind of backlit from whatever the actual truck was behind them. And that just was like probably happenstance. There's no way they got that truck back there to drive behind them. So I don't know how many times they did that. I wish they would have had more of the conversation in there because I thought it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of stuff is done in low light, which I thought was, especially in the beginning of the film, which I kind of liked. There's a part after she's with, is that Macaulay Culkin's brother?
Yeah,
yep.
That's Kieran.
Every time I see him, all I ever think is one film. Every time I see him. And he's like every time I see him, I think Scott Pilgrim. Every time I see him. But yeah, like after she gets high in the bathroom, when she peers around the corner and they have that whole negative fill on like one side, and then she's kind of like right behind it, and like the light riser is right behind her. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably one of the more creative creative shots in it. Then when she's walking across the street, and it's just the back of her. And she's walking into the crowd.
Oh shit!
It felt like it was like a nothing shot to me, but it's actually kind of cool. It's actually kind of fucking cool.
It's just really funny you do that because I texted Ben, and I was like, because we were watching it at the same time. I said, if it'd be super funny if like that wasn't Lisa.
It probably wasn't.
She pops up out of frame, like walking the other direction.
You see, and then the last one, actually I have 4. The last one was was basically one of the last shots of the film when she's in the opera house. She comes down from the opera house, and then the cool part is when she goes through the doors and it opens up. Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Mean, when you have a setting like an opera house in New York, you better fucking nail it when you have those kinds of settings. Moving on to Ben. Since Brandon is talking about some good things, we should probably jump to Ben. What do we need to talk about, Ben?
Can I soapbox a little bit? Would you guys indulge me?
Can I take my headphones off and leave for a little bit? I'm just kidding.
No, because I need you to hear this because I think this is going to affect you.
Oh.
I hate the use of opera in movies. I am not well versed in operas. I don't know the context of any of these opera performances. And all I'm given is shots of the character reacting to music. And it's a way of trying to show me how the character is feeling and like catharsis, but it's just so fucking boring to look at. And I want to engage with the opera. I want to feel what they're feeling. But if I don't have the context for what's going on, I can't feel it. So I wish they would just get rid of all opera scenes in movies unless they're going to provide 10 to 15 minutes explaining to me what the opera's about and what they're singing about.
I'm fucking speechless right now.
I'm fine with opera music being used as like part of the score or in a non-diegetic way outside of the movie.
How many fucking movies use opera as like a mode of emotion for characters?
This one did, and it fucking sucked.
Okay, but is that the fault of the opera or is that the fault of the whole movie?
It's a fault of the movie choosing to use the opera in that way. It's not the opera's fault at all.
Oh my God, Ben. Oh my God.
So you don't dislike opera in movies, you just don't like it when it's made to like evoke some type of emotional response.
Exactly. I don't like that it's being used as the catharsis for the character.
Right, but name one other movie that does that, please, because I just need to know. I'm just like lost here in this generalization and I'm gonna cry. I'm sure there are them. I just was like, oh no.
I mean, it's a similar thing to when they use movies within movies, where it's a character watching a movie and reacting to what's on screen, unless that character is directly involved in the movie. It's the same idea. Think 500 Days of Summer when she goes to the movie and she's watching, they're watching that one movie and she starts crying. It's like, unless they're going to explain the catharsis that's happening to me, like I need more than just I'm crying because the music is happening. Like what is it about the music that Lisa was connecting with?
I don't think it had anything to do with the story that was happening on stage. I literally think it was, I'm with my mother. I have gone through all of this shit. Like if I go to the actual real goal of this movie, not the shit that I saw, this 2.5 hour crap, because I agree, Ben, I hated this movie. I just really want to watch the 3-hour one now, which I never thought I'd say in my life, is watching a longer movie. But I think it really was this moment of realizing that her mom is there for her, but they don't know how to communicate. And like, it's this moment of we're here together. Like we've both experienced death because shit, Ramon dies. Is that his name? I can't remember.
Yeah.
He dies.
Leon dies.
Allison Janney dies. Like there's like a lot of stuff happening and she goes through, oh, guess what? An abortion. Like there's a lot of shit that happens in this movie. And so I don't think it has anything to do with the opera. I think it's literally when you are in a space like that, when you are next to someone, there is a closeness and they are kind of realizing that. I don't know, but that was my interpretation.
I would accept that, except that's not the first time we've been at that exact opera in this movie. Like, why do we go back to this same opera if it's just about being with the mother?
I don't know.
That could have happened
Ramon
anywhere.
Was like, here, I'm dead. Here's my money. I don't know. I literally have no idea.
Is that what happened? Did Ramon leave her money?
I 100% could not figure it out, but it felt like that.
For me, it felt like as though like they haven't had a shared experience in a long time. That wasn't something that was geared toward just the mom. So like they hadn't experienced anything new to, I guess, well, kind of new together. Like it was a different opera. She was like, yeah, I heard it's supposed to be pretty good. Come along. So before then, the only time you ever see Anna Paquin with her mom is when she's doing that one play, and then she's hanging out with the all like the rest of the theater people. After that, you don't see her hang out with her mom like probably for the next
hour and a half.
6, like, well, I mean, if you consider like the actual time, it's probably like 5 months or something like that. Everything kind of goes by, or it has to be a while because they start wearing like pants and stuff after a certain point.
I feel like it's way shorter than that, but carry on.
Yeah. So, but I guess I'm just saying, like, they hadn't shared anything since then. and all this stuff has transpired and nothing's been talked about. Like it feels as though, and this is why I'm saying I don't know if I don't like it or not, because I'm cutting parts out of the film that I think would make it a better film. Like if it was just this situation that happens, her and her mom, and you cut out maybe one of the school conversations is cool. Maybe like the first one, so you can see how she's kind of like pushing back. Well, maybe the second one, because I think she's in school the first time with Matt Damon, even though I don't like Matt Damon being in this film at all altogether. And then it could have been somebody else. And then you have like the second time where they're like talking about other people in Afghanistan and stuff like that. That one, after that, never go back to the school again. It doesn't move the movie. It doesn't move anything forward at all. It doesn't help with anything. That even some of Leon's stuff, like some of that could have been cut out. Like it feels like if it would have been more about like that situation happening, her and her mom. You never see the brother. I don't know where this boy stays. He lives he lives on the street. For all we know, he's a superhero. He's probably one of PJ Masks. He's never in fucking bed. So like, you don't know what happens to this dude afterwards. But like that would have been a better movie. I think I keep sifting everything out, and that's what I see.
Can we go back to the school? Because I feel like I need to just get some shit out about the school. Just one more time. The scene where Matthew Broderick is having the kids discuss Shakespeare. At this point, we've already had a little bit of a taste of how these students act. And at this point, I also didn't know that this was a Jewish private school, which apparently didn't think that was a thing. And he is so fucking useless in this scene. He goes back and sips at orange juice 3 times, which is like, I kid you not, such a random thing to add to a movie, but also like weirdly teacher relatable. I'm going to keep drinking my orange juice. But he gets so up in arms about this kid freaking out about how gods and humans and flies and the relationship between them. And they spend, I don't know how many minutes on this scene, and it just doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Like it's supposed to be deep and meaningful in relation to the movie. But this whole school, like you said, Brandon, there are these conversations that are happening. And it's showing like her escalating her, I guess, argumentative nature and her confusion around just emotions. But my God, none of the conversations really go anywhere. And in this conversation in particular, she doesn't say fucking anything. She's just there.
The only reason that scene's in the movie is because it's the basis for the title of the movie.
No, I think that's a different one.
No, that's the Margaret. No, you're right.
Yeah, there are. Yes.
Oh my God, there's so many fucking scenes.
There's so many fucking teacher scenes. They do not need to happen. I know that we're all teachers and in education, but like, you do not need that much. You're right, Brandon. This story should not have been so spread out. It should have been like mom and daughter focus as a base. Like that should have been the heart.
Matthew Broderick sipping orange juice to prevent himself from telling a kid to shut the fuck up is the most relatable thing in this movie for me as a teacher. Like,
you used to do that for quite a few students, huh?
Absolutely. It was like, okay, I'm just going to drink my water now and take a deep breath.
You know what else we need to talk about, though? We really need to talk about Anna Paquin.
Yeah, we do.
We really need to talk about her because I got to know, is she a good actor in this movie?
I don't know.
I can see the argument for why she would be good, and it's that, Anna Paquin is awful in this movie, but that's the point. Because she's a teenager, and that's real. And I hate that argument because...
I hate it, too.
I thought she was atrocious in this movie.
Can I read what I wrote?
Please.
I feel like I'm being gaslit.
Yes.
She seems over the top, but that's also how white privileged teenagers act.
Yep.
Oh God, what is this shit?
I did, I actually wrote, you know what? I've never seen her act like this before because my whole reference is X-Men and True Blood. That's
Right,
it.
right.
I've never seen anything else other than that. everything I do know is like, okay, Anna Paquin's in this. Eventually, she's gonna get naked because she does that all the fucking time in every fucking movie she's in. Like, it feels like she's always running around doing something she ain't got no business with some guy. But like, I didn't think that she was. I couldn't pinpoint if she was bad or if she was just had to just try to be as super rangy as possible because she's a teenager. And I didn't know where to go with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to try to figure out, adding to that, like, is this an acting issue that I'm having with? Is it a direction? Is it a writing? Or is it an editing? Or is it a combination? Because she has all of these crying, screaming, yelling, shutting down, just various high and low emotion moments that don't make any logical sense to me. And I understand that everyone's like, this is a it's a dramatization of how a teenager's hormones are. But at the same time, like, I just keep thinking there are so many other things here that, like, she could be being told to do this. And so I can't tell if it's just acting or if it's other stuff too.
I have to say, I haven't liked Anna Paquin in anything I've ever seen her in. So I will say that flat out.
Wow.
I'm probably a little biased. However, when you said, is it the director, the editor, the writer, it's all three of them are Kenneth Lonergan. So the question is it Anna Paquin or Kenneth Lonergan? And I think it's Kenneth Lonergan, because this edit absolutely does her no service.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that's on there, like, there are scenes that drag on for like 3 or 4 seconds longer than they should. There's one scene where characters have walked out of frame for 2 seconds
and it's
before they and they're still talking, and then they pick up like further down the street. It's just, there was one point where there was like a zoom in on Matt Damon's face where it was like he was like 99% of the screen. The camera was so close, and it was like the guy didn't know how to cut the scene away from what was happening. So instead, he just chose to zoom in on the one thing he knew he could, which is Matt Damon, who's always in character. Matt Damon's a great actor.
Oh my God.
But this is entirely Kenneth Lonergan's fault for being as unwatchable as it is. And I don't blame Anna Paquin at all, because someone needs to step in and say the constant screeching over each other of dialogue is not working. We need to give that stuff space to breathe.
Yes, especially, like, I get from being a daughter, and not that I screamed at my mother. I watched my sisters scream at my mother. Like, I have seen those interactions before, not quite so severely, but you can't show that and not give it a moment. There has, like, this is a movie. Yes, I know you want to be as realistic as possible, but that just doesn't work. I also want to blame the fucking director, because I was very bothered at how Anna Paquin was sexualized in not the way that you think. Like, she was naked in this movie. Brandon already mentioned it.
Right.
She fucks a teacher. She fucks Kieran Culkin. Like, she makes out with some other random guy. Anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. There are some moments where the shots of her in just regular clothes, her wandering around the street, like, there are some very clear shots that show so much more leg and ass, and really focusing on like how she is sitting or how she like crosses her legs. And it's just a fraction of a second too long, where it feels like an over sexualization of a teenager, even though she's not a teenager in this moment. And then there's even a worse moment, right? This is me being super analytical. Yep, you are right, Ben. There is the slow motion of her walking, and it's dramatic, and her boobs are bouncing everywhere. And it's so jarring, because this is like a serious moment, and I think she gets harassed on the street.
Oh, by the guys? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, shit. Like, come on. Like, they are just making her over-sexualized in a way that is so distracting and never do anything about it. And I don't know. I just was so fucking pissed about it.
Like, the very first thing I wrote is, can Anna's skirt get any shorter? That's the first thing I wrote on it. And then it's like, I hate that whole trope, how like, oh, it's the hot teacher. And I hate that so much to me. And then again, I have to tell myself this was X amount of years ago. that was a thing.
It's not that long ago, though, which is really hard to think about.
I hate using this argument, but
oh no,
her being over-sexualized again was the point. Like, the movie's about a loss of innocence. Like, the camera over-sexualizing her is supposed to be representing that she's not to be viewed as a child anymore. We're trying to view her as a woman who deals with woman issues in a childish way.
So we should over-sexualize women too?
Should we? Is that what you asked?
I did. Because
No,
I'm playing devil's advocate now because you brought that shit up.
No, we shouldn't, but I think over-sexualization can serve a purpose within a story if it's related to the themes you're trying to talk about.
It doesn't feel...
I agree with you, Emily. I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
I know you are, and you're driving me nuts, but you know what we need to talk about? We need to talk about how there's so many things that are unresolved or randomly brought up.
Which, you know what? Honestly, I don't mind some of that, because I think that's like a part of how life is. Like, some shit's just not resolved.
She goes up to her teacher and says, I had an abortion last week.
But like, and here's the thing with that, it's that part was that shouldn't even have been in the film. They should have cut that out of the whole.
How did they leave
cut.
that in this cut? Like, I understand
it should have
that.
been in the second one. Yeah.
Can I just say that I love how Brandon just jumped in with the argument of, but that was the point? Like, just in different words. Like,
but I mean, no, it's like, no, it's like, that's what it, I mean, like, it's, you know, it's just unresolved. I get it. And that's why I keep saying, I don't know if I don't like this film. And I think the reason is because, like, if it's a doable film with the bus, the mom, and literally the bus and the mom can carry like that. The rest of the shit, like, the rest of the shit feels like it's just extra shit that's not needed. Like, cool, she's in high school, she has sex with boys. Fine. It doesn't have to be the teacher, man. Like, that shit's just so fucking done a million times, it feels like. Like, then it's like the whole, like, when she's like with the friend and stuff like that, she's talking to the friend and all that shit gets all mean and catty and like all that stuff. Like, kind of gets like, okay, I get it. She's like under a lot of stress. She doesn't know how to deal with the PTSD she has from actually being with this woman in her last minute moments. Like, she's a kid. She's going to go through all this stuff. And I think that alone could have carried. Yeah. I keep filtering out the rest of the bull and being like, okay, there's the movie, but it's I don't know, man. I feel like if he could have done this now, it would have been like, okay, here are the 2-3 things. Get rid of half the school stuff, ditch Damon, keep Leon in for half of it. Don't even say Leon fucking dies, and say he does something else. Keep maybe a little bit of the actual dad stuff in there. So then you have this reference of how she has no real family member to talk to and go to. The police stuff, like going back to the police thing 40 billion times, that was too fucking much. Like, it's like there's like certain parts in it that are actually there that if you just subtract those things, you have a pretty solid film.
You literally named, I think, every single thing that I was like, this is the shit that's just extra and unresolved or just thrown in. That, like, pretty much everything that I was going to freak out about. So thank you, Brandon.
And I would have even liked if the other family didn't get the money. If they said, look, we already closed the case and that's it. Because then you have to deal with that. Okay, sometimes this is how things happen. Sometimes you lose. And it doesn't feel like it feel like maybe she did lose innocence and she sees how like the world is actually kind of is in certain perspectives. But I think to actually lose outright, but then you still know that like it still comes down to like the beginning part of that when like it's almost like a mom and a daughter's journey through this section of their life. And you come back, they come back together at the end, even though I don't know where the brother is, but they kind of come back together at the end. That's where the film is. And it felt like it was just lost in so much other stuff. And it could have been so much better.
I do feel like the ending, though, where some form of justice is served, but it's not the justice she wants. I think that tells a far better story than her just flat out losing the case. Like, I feel like there's a lot more to be learned from, sometimes people are just shitty and the wrong people win, but also the guy did lose, but not in the way that you wanted him to lose. Like, there's justice that exists in the world, but it's not always the justice you want it to be.
Yeah. And that's a great place to conclude. I think we should not talk about this movie anymore.
Let's conclude with the credits, because this movie had 2 minutes and 30 seconds of credits, and all of it was the same music that played during the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which weirdly sounded like it was from 1900s, early to mid 1900s New York Italian neighborhood. Like, did you guys get the feeling of like, I'm listening to the score from The Godfather Part 2?
I didn't even pay attention to it, to be honest. It
was very forgettable. It just repeats itself for 2.5 minutes. It's not grating, but it's also not great. So I give it a 4 out of 10.
Nice. Okay, guys, let's wrap this up. Give us 30 seconds. Tell us what you thought of the movie. Brandon, what'd you decide?
I don't know if I'll dislike it or not. I honestly, I can't say that I hate it, because the first act's not bad. I wouldn't watch it. I know I wouldn't watch it again. I definitely wouldn't watch it again.
This version of it.
Right. I would definitely this version I would not watch. It's something like, I think if it would have just stayed with like the journey it was on with this traumatic experience, I would have liked the film more. And I keep going back to that. This is her final moments and everything that's kind of happening. And then it kind of reminded me of like so much other stuff and like this real life stuff that you don't see. It's not to take it too far. It kind of like that whole moment kind of like, I was looking at that and I don't know why I went to George Floyd stuff and the kids that were watching that across the street and how that traumatic that was for them and how their lives have changed. So I kind of went there, and then it's like, okay, so what happens next? And then that's what I wanted to see, is what happened next. And it didn't really come together like I thought it would, like story wise. So I don't know if I 100% dislike it. If you could stop it first act and then just pick up maybe back half of the third, I think it'd be a better film. Like once you get the Michael Ealy part, literally one of the prettiest black men in America.
Yeah.
Once you get the Michael Ealy right there, and then I didn't like how that lady was always talking all sassy.
Oh,
she was her at all.
She's like, this is my friend. I'm like, oh my God, shut the fuck up. You are not friends with him.
Sassiest chick in the world. But like, just like that part on, if you cut that part after the first act and you go from there on, it's not bad. But like, I like what he was trying to do. I think that's what I keep looking at, is the artistic part of what he was trying to do. I know that's a long-winded answer, but I don't know if I dislike it or not.
All right, Ben, tell us what you think.
It's hard to get at what he's trying to do when the level of ineptitude that is put on screen is so high. And that's all I could see, is how inept this thing was put together. Some of the scenes were overly written. It was under-edited in parts and over-edited in parts. It made a 2.5-hour movie feel like 4 hours long. And from what I hear, the 3-hour version of it feels like 2 hours. So I don't know how the fuck we get there. I don't really find the story engaging enough for me to even try to watch the better version of it, because I still feel like I'm going to have a lot of the same issues with the characters in it. Even if those characters are given a little more time to flesh out and a better edit, I still don't think I'm going to like it. Definitely not a movie that's going to wind up on my best of list. And I wish we would have watched Meek's Cutoff, Brandon. Bad pick.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was like, even as I was watching, I was like, fuck, I should always go with the Western.
Yep. I even said to Emily, I stacked this movie against a Western, thinking, no way does Brandon get to pick this one.
And then I fucking humped the buck on that. But
Emily, what's your final thoughts?
Gonna agree with Brandon on a lot of this. I think that there was a good premise. I think that this execution was absolute garbage, and I hated almost every second of it. I unfortunately think that I am intrigued enough by the many, many articles that I was reading, and also shout out to This Guy Edits, watching his video on Margaret. I might have to watch the 3-hour one, and I just cannot understand how it would change my mind this much. But there are like NPR articles and like really famous critics that talk about how this version sucks, and they were ready to write it off, and then they watched the 3-hour version, and I just can't. It blows my fucking mind. Also, needed more Allison Janney. I just needed more of her, and I
Ghost Janny.
Yes,
only showed
I
up
needed
once.
some
I
Ghost
needed more
Janny.
Ghost.
She only showed up once. I needed more of that trauma in there. Make this a horror movie. Shit. Anyway, the end.
What's your favorite idea? Mine is being creative.
How do you get that idea?
I just tried to think creatively.
All right, number 1. This movie's name is Margaret. The the main character's name is Lisa. We don't figure out how Margaret is related until we get to the poem where they say Margaret. So, I want you to pitch a movie concept with your name as the title that has nothing to do with your name.
Can I pitch one for Brandon?
Sure.
Go for it.
I think Brandon is the biopic of the Joe Biden presidency. And that's what we get. And it's a liberal throwback, taking it back. We're taking back the Brandon name, and we're actually going to show all the great things Joe Biden did during his presidency, even though it's not even done yet. We're gonna glorify him. We're gonna put him on the ivory tower, the pinnacle, the Mount Rushmore of presidencies. Get Teddy Roosevelt the fuck out of there. Brandon up on Mount Rushmore. That's how the movie ends.
Oh my God, that's shit. I love it.
I'm all for it.
Brandon, you got an idea for Ben or for your name or my name?
God, I'm so bad at this when it's late at night, man. You guys gotta catch me at like 4:30 and I'm on. I don't have anything. That was pretty good. You know, the odd thing about that whole like let's go Brandon thing, I was so out of touch for like such a long time. I was like, yo, I says let's go Brandon. And Tisa was like, no. It's not what you think it means. I was like, oh, it's not?
Check your ego. I was
like,
it's not about you.
I thought it was fine. I thought finally it happened. I didn't know what was going on.
Okay, number 2. At the party scene, Kieran Culkin playing Paul, he's telling Lisa while she's snorting coke, you always want to be symmetrical. I don't really understand that, but I feel like
I do.
This is a life lesson. What else do you need to be symmetrical about?
You need to be not showing breast favoritism. And I think this is really important. And all the men out there need to hear this. I know we all have a lead hand, a dominant hand. We want to go in and go after the breast that is part, like, easiest to grab with our dominant hand. For me, it's the right breast. I like to be on the right side. I lean over, I grab the right breast, or the left breast with my right hand. I got to remember, though, right breast needs love too. Breast symmetry is what I'm here to talk about today. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
But not breast symmetry in like how women's breasts are shaped. Symmetry in how you're pleasuring a woman.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Ben. Fuck.
Is it bad I was going to go the butt route?
There we go.
Do it.
Is it bad? Because like I won't lie. I'm like a right hand, like left cheek slapper. And I feel bad. I'm like, man, I'm not really giving the other cheek nor other hand love like that. So I feel kind of bad that I don't do that. I need to work on that as a person. That's something I need to do.
Brandon, we are nothing if we are not reflective lovers. We need to reflect on our lovemaking and be better and not show favoritism.
Right. You know.
My God, I don't know what I expected, but I hate you both. Number 3. At the end of the movie, the bus driver and Lisa are both essentially at fault for Allison Janney's character dying in this movie. They are the ones that killed Allison Janney in this movie. I say no. Something else killed Allison Janney. What was it, or who was it?
Not fucking looking both ways before you cross the street. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Look both ways. That could have been so avoidable. It was just like, oh, there's a little guy telling me to go across the street and there's blinders on. Like, you can't hear that bus. It's not like she had on like earbuds or something like that. Like, or looking at her phone. Like, you're pushing a cart.
Yeah.
Like,
blame
take
the victim.
Dude, but it's like, dude, I do not step out. I don't care what that sign says. I'm not stepping out there until I look to make sure, because somebody could be trying to cook a curb. They could be trying to cook it. So I'm like, let me wait. And if they go by, cool. If they don't, if they see me, I'd never step out there, dude. Never. I always wait at least 2-3 beats and then I walk across the street.
If I'm the insurance adjuster and I'm doing the assessment of the accident, 10% of the accident at least has to be the fault of whoever sold Ruffalo that hat. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. Like the hat, it's the hat's fault. Where did he get the hat? Hold that business accountable.
Now let's all agree to never be creative again.
Okay, for my game today, I called it I Think We Can Do Better. Sometimes they give movies the dumbest fucking titles that have nothing to do with the movie that we just watched, or that are so nondescript that they don't even warrant existing. I'm going to give each of you a movie title. You need to tell me a better title for that movie. We're going to go 5 rounds head to head.
Oh, God.
I'm going to give you a movie title, the same one, and you need to come up with a better title for me for that movie. And I'm pretty sure you all have seen all of these movies. I tried to pick ones that I thought Emily had seen.
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Well, the first one is Margaret. What's a better title than Margaret?
Sookie. I was going to say Sookie. Look Both Ways.
Ooh.
I 100%. I'm just going to go with my gut instincts on these ones. I'm going to go with Lisa.
Look Both Ways is so applicable in a multiple of areas. Like it can be about Lisa. It can be about her having to look both ways for the bus. I got to go with Look Both Ways. That was a great poll, Brandon.
Yeah.
Good job.
My second choice was Trash. So
Wait, hold on, let's talk about. Can we talk about how fast Anna Paquin had to be running to be able to keep up with the bus? Was she like right next? Like either he was going super slow, or she was like literally like damn near the Flash. Like it felt like for him to not be able to, because he kept looking back, and she was like right there, like parallel to the bus. Did that throw anybody off at all, or was it just me?
I mean, if you think about it, then in conjunction with the accident that we saw from the bus, where it must have been going that pretty fast to, tear a leg off, the connection there does seem a little bit weird. I wonder how fast that thing was going, or how fast Anna Paquin is.
You, as the insurance agent.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to reevaluate that.
Yeah, because he was saying like, yeah, man, it takes me X amount of time to stop. I'm like, but like you went maybe a block, not even a block. I don't know.
Next movie, Love Actually. Just an awful title, by the way.
Is it Love Actually?
Question mark?
Is there a question mark at the end?
Oh, absolutely.
Or is there 2 question marks? Is it Love question mark Actually question mark?
No, is it Love, Actually, like our title of our show?
Oh, yeah.
I actually thought Love Actually was actually a decent title for the film.
Oh, snap, Ben.
To be honest,
Wow.
like seriously.
Me too. Ben is just a big old shit.
Holiday Loves.
Holiday Loves.
It does happen over Christmas.
Yes, it does. I do like the tying in of holiday. I mean, Brandon, you gave it away. You said you liked Love Actually. The fact that Emily kept Love Actually in her title, I think that just automatically gives her the win on that one. Like,
that's fine.
You kind of bit yourself. Next one, Boondock Saints.
Oh, I have not seen all of this movie. I'm trying to remember what it's about.
The first one's the best one. The second one's
second.
This is the one with Willem Dafoe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I remember this. I got it.
Okay, let's hear it.
Shoot him up.
Okay.
Brothers of the Gun.
Ooh.
Brandon, you got that one. Good job.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a good pick.
But mine was funny.
Yes. Next movie, Magnolia. My favorite movie of all time. Awful title.
I've actually never seen that movie. Believe it or not, I've never seen Magnolia. It's one I wanted to see, and for some reason I cannot remember why I didn't see it. But I have a title though.
Let's hear it. What's your title?
That is the one with dude, what's his name? Tom Cruise is in that one, right?
Yes.
Is that the one with Tom Cruise in?
Yep.
Fuck Your Couch. Fuck your couch. Jump on your couch. From the Oprah stuff.
Yeah, I got it. Mixed with a little Chappelle show. I love it.
Sicilian, which is a fancy word of saying amphibian.
Sicilian is a fancy way of saying amphibian?
Caecilian.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I like that one. Hopefully you didn't just spoil the ending for Brandon.
Oh, don't worry about it. That's something I'll forget about it anyway. Don't worry about it.
Last movie. There Will Be Blood. Let's bring it full circle for this podcast.
This is probably not what I'm going to go with. Nah, shit. Fuck it. I'll go with it. All I can do is Bob's Burgers. Oil spill. The song, if you've seen that episode. Oil spill. It's not subtle.
Oil spill.
Shit, because I don't care. Whatever. We're going with oil spill. Just because that's so fucking funny.
The Darkened Valley of Lost Souls.
Ooh. Yeah, that's going to Brandon.
I think it is. I think it is going to Brandon. Yep. Well done, Brandon.
I feel like everybody was lost in that. Like, I feel like they lost their ways.
I got chills.
They're multiplying. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We really appreciate you bearing with us as we hated on this movie. Please, if you still like us, like our show, rate us 5 stars, share it with some friends, subscribe, all that great stuff. And follow us on social media at IDYP_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Even though we are What Are You 12, we are an IDYP original. Woo. And you can email us at idrinkyourpodcast@gmail.com.
Emily was the loser of our game today, so she's going to end the episode by saying, Margaret, who the fuck is Margaret?
Can I throw out why this came up? Because all I could think in this movie, and I was texting Ben about it, is as we keep getting to each character over and over again, I was like, who the fuck is Margaret? Like, where are we getting Margaret from? And then I started singing, Alice, who the fuck is Alice? So, here we go. Margaret, who the fuck is Margaret? I don't know when she's leaving. I don't remember the rest of the song. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Take it easy out.